Are there other beings living right here on Earth amongst us right now?
Yes.
How do we recognize them? How do you know that?
How do you know that? Well, you know, they speak about peace. They speak about change. They speak about fix your planet, stop your war, stop your hatred. You put yourself in danger. And then there are those that are coming who are of very dark intent, and they of course work for the ones that are the warmongers. Because there's a war going on upon this galaxy that your planet is in, where we see two sets of gods fighting over power, overruling one another, yet even their ego is in conflict, because the all of the all is the ultimate and of course the great healer of all universes.
Let's talk a little bit about conspiracies. What do you think is the biggest conspiracy here on Earth?
The chip.
The chip?
Yeah. The chip, total global control, total global manipulation and enslavement of all of mankind. Sorting out a so-called, as you've seen this before, a perfect race. And what they consider as a perfect race, pure white with no ancestry of anything else in their so-called genes, not Levi genes.
That sounds a lot like 1939 Berlin.
Yes, indeed it does. But this one is much more dangerous than this time. They learned from what was done there, Mengele and the other scientists that were employed, and many of those that came out of World War II were the ones that now are in the CIA, FBI, CSIS, and of course the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. You have lost your freedom by not being. There are energies at work who are definitely in action to take total global control, as they experimented with it World War I, World War II, and this of course is World War III, which is in its expansion, in its development, and the war that will expand out of this is more horrific than any man or woman should ever dare to imagine.
Now, during World War II, everybody pointed the finger, obviously, at Adolf Hitler.
He was a tool of the United States of America. He was a tool of the Illuminati.
Okay, so this is not just a one-person show.
No, never was. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and more than Rothschilds and Rockefellers, the Bush family in the United States, do not underestimate them, because the Bush family in the United States of America were involved World War I, World War II, World War III. And if you search out their history and their blue blood former connections, the same with Putin. Putin is also not the one who you think he is. Neither are the ones that are in control in China.
Are there any world leaders that we should be in favor for, or anybody who's actually out there for peace?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you ask. At this very moment, as we are sitting here, I think we should stir up the European leaders. And of course, we're not inviting this fellow from England. It's a waste of our time, because he too is part of selling out his people. But there are leaders, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, I think even Germany would be wide open to a good communication. And then, of course, we have a chance to educate and involve Mr. Chavez and then, of course, Brazil. These countries become empowered They can help us to stop the war. But do not underestimate Japan, because even though Japan will remain the rest of its existence always the foe of China, China and Korea need to be kept a close eye on.
What about Australia? They're sort of out of the way.
They are not out of the way. Australia is a major player with its troops in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And also we mustn't misjudge New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the largest manufacturers of Agent Orange.
Let's talk a little bit about Africa. They seem to be a very poor continent. Do they have any influence on the rest of the world?
No. They have been totally robbed of their voice. They are victims, and the world itself needs to come into a state of great compassion and wisdom. But when you have created so much hatred amongst the people, whether they black, yellow, red or white, you cannot immediately redo the hatred that you created by suppressing them through racism. It needs to come about of compassion, education and love, when healing can become the major thing.
Well, thank you again, Your Holiness Hehpsehboah. It has been very enlightful talking to you today.
Thank you very, very much for your very wise questions.
And good luck to you.
Thank you.